What are you doing here? Don't get the wrong idea. I'm glad you're here as far as being a part of this little session with me. I appreciate that. I appreciate you spending the time. But what are we doing here in the bigger scheme of things? What's your purpose in life? What's your calling in life? We probably don't stop and think about that a whole lot. Maybe we ought to. I mentioned Viktor Frankl's book a couple of days ago, Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl was in a prison camp in Germany. A fellow Jewish author, Harold Kushner, wrote a foreword to one of the editions of Frankl's book. Harold Kushner is best known for his book, When Good Things Happen to Bad People. Been widely read, maybe as widely read as most anything grappling with that question. But Kushner, in the foreword for Frankl's book, says this. His experience, talking about Frankl, in Auschwitz reinforced what was already one of his key ideas. Life is not primarily a quest for pleasure, as Freud believed, or a quest for power, as Alfred Adler taught, but a quest for meaning. A quest for meaning. Well, I think probably American culture would argue that, hey, life is a quest for pleasure. That's kind of what we're all wrapped up in. Entertainment, fun, recreation. We have jobs to help us be able to pay for that. So I don't know how you feel about that, but maybe there is some truth that at the deepest level, we really long to have a sense of purpose and meaning. God created Adam and Eve and put them in the garden with a job to tend the garden. And I think that purpose helps us to have some enthusiasm. Maybe one of the reasons that we're not all that fired up sometimes is we don't have much of a sense of anything to be fired up for. Ken Blanchard wrote a book called Gung Ho. It's a management motivational book. He says that believing our work to be worthwhile is one of the most powerful motivators possible. People who have a job where they think it matters are highly motivated compared to others. He goes on to say this: people have to understand how what they do contributes to the well-being of humankind. I would suggest that in a broader, deeper, more spiritual way, understanding that what we do as Christian contributes to the well-being of mankind is probably going to determine whether we're fired up or not, whether we feel that way. What is our purpose in life? What was it for Jesus? Several summary statements you could go to. One in Mark chapter 1, since we've been looking at the Gospel of Mark on Wednesday nights in our summer series. On one occasion, this is early on, this is Mark chapter 1, people are looking for Jesus and they find him, and the disciples tell him, everybody's looking for you. And Jesus sort of says, well, too bad, I'm leaving. He says to them, let's go somewhere else. I'm popular here, folks are listening here, but let's go somewhere else to the nearby villages so I can preach there also. That is why I've come. That's why I've come, to preach the message of the kingdom. And not just to one group of people, but to as many people as possible. And he spent some 3.5 years doing that. And then he sent out his followers whom he had trained to keep doing that, to just go tell this message. We talked about Paul as being somebody fired up and how committed he was. And he talks about Christ's love compelling him. But in that same context in 2 Corinthians, he talks about his ministry of reconciliation. That God has put this treasure in jars of clay so that Paul could help bring people to be reconciled to God through Jesus. Paul had a mission. He had a calling. It was the same mission and calling that Jesus had had. So here's the hard question. What about you? And what about me? Do we get up in the morning? Do we go through our day and our week and our month and our years thinking about that kind of calling? Surely, I don't think anybody would say, well, my purpose in life is to watch as much TV as possible. Or my purpose in life is to play all the video games I can, or to beat all the video games I can. I don't think anybody would say, my purpose in life is to see just how many Facebook posts I can scroll through. I don't think we'd say that, but do we sometimes act like that's our purpose in life? Or just to drag myself through work for however many years it takes to get to retirement? Is there something more that we might be better able to get fired up about? Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? If somebody asks you, why are you here? What's your purpose in life? if they got a little more pointed about that and ask you, what is your God-given purpose? As a Christian, what is your purpose? What does your Bible say is your purpose or your calling in life? Share your thoughts. I look forward to seeing what you had to say.